I'm Senator Wayne Niederhauser from Utah, and with me today is Professor Natelson. Welcome, Professor.
Great to be here.
We have a few questions today on Article 5 Constitutional Amendments Convention. There's been a lot of talk about that lately. First question would be, tell us a little bit about Article 5. Why is that in the Constitution?
Sure. The Constitution was written for the ages. It was designed to be a document that people could change if necessary. So the founders put a way to amend the Constitution in there. And any amendment has to be approved by 3/4 of the states. But to propose an amendment, to get it to the states, normally Congress makes that proposal. However, the founders put in something else in the Constitution in case Congress became abusive or refused to adopt a needed amendment. And that was a procedure whereby the states could actually require Congress to call a meeting, call an amendments convention, to draft amendments that then could go to the states for ratification. So a lot of people now are talking about the possibility, since Congress has gotten so out of control and abusive, of bypassing Congress using the amendments of convention procedure.
And that was 2/3 of the states instead of...
That's right. You need 2/3 of the states to adopt resolutions, and then Congress is required to call the convention. And the convention is essentially a task force. It's a meeting of representatives of the states to hammer out an appropriate amendment.
So why is there so much talk about this process today?
Well, there's a lot of talk about it today because Congress has become so abusive and has exceeded its power. James Madison, when he was an old man in the 1830s, wrote a letter about how if the system is getting out of whack, the Amendments Convention is the way to put it back into balance. And so many people today feel that we're at that crunch moment now in American history where it's time for the states to act and to recover government for the American people.
Being a state legislator, I often hear about this process, but we also get this caution that this process might create a runaway convention. Could you address that?
Sure. The idea here is that the convention can simply start exercising the powers of government, do anything it wanted, no matter what its instructions were, take over the government. I don't know how that's going to happen without control of the Pentagon, but those are some of the scenarios that are presented. And they're based upon some misconceptions. One is, the misconception is that an Article 5 is a constitutional convention, such as what met in Philadelphia in 1787. That's not true. It is a task force directed to solving problems identified by the states in their applications, and the delegations are in fact responsible to the state legislatures. There's also a story out there which says that, the 1787 Philadelphia Convention was a runaway. They were told to just draft the Articles of Confederation or amend the Articles of Confederation, and they went and prepared a whole new constitution. Well, I investigated that story, the constitutional historian, and I found it substantially not true. The 1787 convention was one of many interstate conventions held within the founding era, deputized for particular tasks. There were no runaways, they did their job, and they went home. And that's what an amendments convention was really about.
Professor, there's a number of ideas being floated out there about ideas about amendment convention. Could you talk a little bit about some of the ideas that are floated, and maybe
there are
the pros and cons of each idea?
Sure. There are a number of constitutional amendments being talked about. And again, these would be amendments more to get the system back into balance and more in accord with its original understanding, which, by the way, is why most amendments actually get passed. Not too many people know that. But one example is the vote on taxes amendment, which would actually give the people a voice in case Congress wanted to raise taxes, or if they wanted to impose new taxes. What the vote on taxes amendment would require is that the people approve any increase in taxes in a popular referendum. The system already exists in a number of different states. Another idea is called the repeal amendment. This would give state legislatures the right to veto or repeal a federal law that they thought was inappropriate. It would require 2/3 of the state legislatures to do that. A number of other ideas have been suggested for a long time. Balanced budget, for example. Back in the 1990s, we were only two states shy of an amendments convention to put in the Constitution an amendment requiring the federal government balance its budget. Most people today would say we would have been a lot better off if we had had that convention and adopted that amendment. So many people believe a balanced budget amendment is a good idea. Another idea is term limits for state office holders. You know, for federal office holders. Most state office holders have to live with term limits. The president has to live with term limits, why not Congress? And so that is seen by a number of people as a way of reining in. And then another example still is that, at the state level, when you put together a bill, you have to limit the bill to a single subject. You can't put in stuff about jury trials and budget matters and other unrelated subjects all in one bill in order to assemble a majority. You're limited to one subject. But the U.S. Congress is not. And so many people believe that a single subject is appropriate for the U.S. Congress. What all of these ideas have in common is they move us back toward founding era principles, and they are either enormously popular or they have the potential to be enormously popular, and that's important because you cannot have a constitutional amendment unless the overwhelming majority of humanity is supported.
Very good. Great discussion on Article 5. I know there's a lot of questions about that out there, and appreciate your time today and your insight and historical perspective on the Constitution.
Well, thank you, Wayne. It's been an honor talking to you.